Welcome to Bari Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Bari Banter. We're sitting on a random couch in a random house.
We are indeed. We're on the road again for the second time now. So we decided to get our guest in person today.
So we're actually doing a couple of episodes this week too, because the whole working away situation. We've got to try and get a few together so I can edit them on the road. And you're very close.
I know. We're not used to sitting this close to you. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like it's spread out.
I mean, we're used to being close together, but not on air. Go away from me. Get away.
Our guest is sitting here, so we might as well introduce our amazing guest today. Yeah.
Is this
Kiya?
me?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that was the worst intro ever.
That was the worst segue.
Over to you.
Joining us today on the couch is Kiya. She was sleeved back in March of 2019 with a starting weight of 125 kilos. She's lost an impressive 50 kilos and is currently recovering from her first round of skin removal surgery. She's got her compression bandages on as we speak. Joining us in the flesh is Kiya, also known as Becoming Me with VSG on Instagram. How are you, Kiya?
Hi.
Good, how are you?
Can we just say, on point with the colour. You kind of matched him without matching him.
Probably a shade off, but I'm pretty close.
Pretty close. You got blue and white. You couldn't have done any better.
Yeah.
So fresh out of surgery, she had your arms done, wasn't it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Brachioplasty, I think they call it, if I pronounce that right.
I'm not even going to
She'll
try.
continue saying
I
that
looked
one.
at it. Yeah, please. I looked at it 6 times, and I'm like, that's not a question I'm going to ask because I have no idea how to actually say that word. So
What'd your sister just say? It sounds like a dinosaur.
Yeah,
before we go too far into plastics, because it's something we want to get into and kind of understand the whole recovery process of that, let's learn about you before surgery.
Yeah.
Should we go back to school, and be like, who were you? If you thought about yourself at school, who were you at school?
I was the fat kid with red hair, so I had
Preach.
on.
You and Shannon are the same.
Yeah, it kind of sets you up, doesn't it? When
It
it's
does.
when you have the red hair,
God, yes.
and and then try having a girl's name when you're a boy. At least you had a girl's name.
That no one could pronounce properly.
Really? Is it Kiya or Kiya or?
Yeah, well, technically it's Nakia, so that's my full name. Kiya's for short, so Kiya's just easier than Nakia.
God, we've known you for almost 2 years,
I
and
know.
I've never known that your name was Nakia.
Well, that was I had a friend remember it. Literally to date, I don't know what his real name is. We just called him New Kid. I saw him at the plaza one time, and I'm like, "Hey, New Kid." He goes, "You don't know my name, do you?" And I was like, "Nope." And he's like, "It's Ryan," and I was like, I was just because someone by a certain name, it was just I just looked at him and thought his name was New Kid on his birth certificate and everything.
So you were the fat kid with red hair.
Yeah.
Guessing you probably got bullied a little bit.
Yeah, it's big time.
Yeah. How did you deal with that?
I don't think I did, because I'm not a very forthcoming person either, so I kind of internalized a lot of it, tried to do the whole, ignore them, don't react, kind of do that side of things. I had a small group of friends.
Yeah.
But, I wasn't, Miss Popularity or whatever, I had my group and stuck with them.
Yeah.
Your core group. Yeah, it is hard, and when you're at school too, you think school is the emphasis of the world.
It's the be all and end all.
Then you realise when you leave school, it was really nothing. The most people at school who were popular, go on to just run their course. A lot of popular girls that I went to school with are pregnant. And
I was
got
going to say,
pregnant
most of the popular girls at my school ended up being knocked up pretty quickly after school.
It doesn't automatically say you're going to be successful in life if you're popular at school.
I think it teaches you how to deal with a lot of things, though. If you
Definitely.
Do you feel like that could taught you build a thicker skin and gave you a better coping mechanism?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it is because bullying, as much as I hated that it happened, it definitely taught me a lot about coping and
thick
skin, which also I guess isn't a good thing to kind of suppress things when you're at school and stuff. But
so you said you were overweight at school.
Yeah.
Were you was it sort of until recent years that you sort of realised that your weight was becoming an issue, or had you sort of always known but you just didn't want to do anything about it, or had you tried?
I've been overweight my whole primary school or high school, and I think it was a year out of high school. I was just like, I'm the friend that has never had a boyfriend. I've never gone out and, hooked up at the clubs or whatever because I'd always been the bigger girl. So actually, I did it myself. When I was 19 years old, I lost 50 kilos myself.
Whoa.
Just one day I just snapped and I was able to do it. And, had my, years of going out and sleeping with whoever and drinking and doing all that sort of things. Finally met my husband, but then, fell pregnant, weight came back on, got it back off for our wedding. And then we fell pregnant again. It all came back on. And then I didn't manage to lose it again after the second kid. So that's when we're like, all right, let's just have our third kid, get over and done with, and then I'll focus on myself. Then after our third kid, my weight just kept going up and up and up. It didn't come down like it did with the boys. So that's when I think I'd seen other friends go through the sleeve surgery and see how successful they were. That's when I started looking into it, thinking, I'm not big enough. This is not going to happen for me. Yeah. But the more research I did, I'm like, no, I can do this. Like, I qualify. I'm sick of being so overweight practically my whole life. I had like maybe 1 or 2 years of my adult life of being normal weight. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with the yo-yo diets and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to do this for myself.
And it is too, because once you have 3 kids, you become very time poor. So having a tool that can assist you definitely makes it a little bit more bearable because, like, you know what it's like when you lost the 50 kilos, you had to contribute your whole life to losing that 50 kilos.
Yes.
Like, I know in the past when I've lost the weight, it was usually you just become addicted to the process of losing weight. And then obviously when you get older and commitments, it becomes a lot harder to allocate that time.
Especially when it's just not you that you're looking after. You have 3 kids and a husband and yourself, and you're working. Yes. Like we all say it. Where's the time? Like, how do we have time to do it? So,
yeah. How old are you when you met your husband?
21.
21.
I'm gonna be 35 in a month.
Oh, you're only 35? I thought you were younger than me.
Well, I thought, I look at people and I try and guess the ages, and I think everyone's older than me, like, because in my head I'm still,
I'm still, like, I didn't go past 16.
So I still get ID'd when I go into the bottle shop.
Yeah, that was random. And then, like, literally she got ID'd and then she went, oh, you should ask him too then. And then he's like, ha. And I was like, I'm so offended. He's like, he wasn't even going to play along and just play the joke. He was like, no, he's definitely old enough. Right. Thanks, mate. All right.
So when you lost the 50 kilos, prior to children, what did you do to lose that 50 kilos?
So that was it was just like one day it snapped, right? So I went and bought myself an exercise bike, and I was on there, gradually increasing the time. And then the diet, I just like fully flipped my diet. It was like salad and meat. That was it. Like, I wasn't eating carbs or sugar. Like, I was cutting all that stuff out. It's like I was pretty hardcore because I was so desperate.
Yeah.
It is, and it's almost like your mum said it once upon a time, and that was always the thing, like, it's a lifestyle change. But like in the old days, before like I had weight loss surgery, it was very like all or nothing. It's very hard to find that middle ground of a lifestyle change. And I think that's the one thing I definitely didn't do right in the past, is it was just like an unmaintainable diet that just sooner or later was going to break because boy likes food.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, it's all well and good that you got the exercise, you were exercising, you cut all sugars, you cut all carbs. But then at some point in time, you need to eventually start living again. Yeah. And that's when the weight ends up like creeping back on and like getting back up there. Because I was the same. Like, I lost 20, 30 kilos easily, doing Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and all that. But once you hit that goal of like losing the 20 kilos, you're like, oh, cool, I'll stop the program now and I'll just continue living. But continued living, you go back to eating, the packet of twisties, preach, because I love twisties and like all that sort of thing. So it's just not maintainable, really, is it?
No, it isn't. Because you've had the same job too, haven't you? You've worked
I've been at Woolies for 15 years.
Yeah, wow. So
it's an active job.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because what part of...
So I'm in the deli.
In the deli,
Lots of walking in the deli.
Yeah. Have you found yourself avoiding the processed meats a little bit more? Because I remember I used to do deli work at Woolworths as well, and it was always like, sneak a bit of this here, sneak a bit of that there.
I'll have a Cheerio here.
Well, I found myself recently going back to that because there were like days, early past surgery, I couldn't eat that stuff.
Yeah.
But now that I'm like, 2 years post-op now, I'm like, a little bit of turkey here won't help, or a chicken chip here won't hurt. Like,
well, it is like that, and I think I would probably still be the same too, because that's what I was saying to Lita the other week. I was saying that's a habit I'm really trying to get on top of, because I'm very much that it's there, I'll grab it, I'll eat it. Exactly. And that's it's almost boredom eating, I guess. So like I would be the same if I was at the deli. I'd probably be like, oh, what's one Cheerio? 64 times during a day, but it was one Cheerio. It was just 64 times. So
because I find for myself, I like sort of portion my meals throughout the day. So like, because I go to work, so I'll go, okay, in the morning I have recently I've been having chia seed puddings for breakfast. And then I just go, all right, Easter time, I'll have a hot cross bun, which I don't usually eat hot cross buns. It's only the week leading into Easter that I eat them. And then I take my lunch, and then I take an afternoon tea snack, and then I come home and I know that I'm going to have dinner. Like, I'm very portioned with everything that I have. But because you're at home, you just open the fridge.
And that's what I was saying to your dietitian too. Like, and it was one of those, the more I do throughout the day, the more I have. And it's like, because obviously some days I'll ride like 40 Ks or 50 Ks, and then other days I'll literally... do some quotes and go for a 5K run. Clearly, the fuel levels are going to be different. So I've never been able to establish that, like, portioned out throughout the
But
day.
I guess as well, because you don't go to work as such, like what we do, you're not forced to. You go to work. That camera. You go to work. It's just that you work for yourself, so it's not like you.
Yeah, and it's a
you've
very
got a
heavy
half
job.
an hour lunch break now, so you have
Yeah.
to go and eat now. You have a 10-minute lunch break now, so go eat your snack now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's very, you're just erratic.
Yeah, I feel like what was it? Like grilling me on my work. No, because it is a very physical job. I know what you mean. Like I only work 4 hours, and usually it's like I just go, don't eat, come back. But have you noticed any habits that have started coming back in since surgery?
So yeah, definitely picking out of the case at work.
Yeah.
And that's something I need to try and, like, I tell myself, righto, I'm not eating out of the case today. I'm going to eat my packed lunch and that's it. Because I do find if I pick at work and I don't feel like my lunch, then I finish my shift and then I'll go and probably eat something I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I used to, when I worked at Worst too, I used to always go through and look for the special things. Like, I used to polish off like a thing of Tim Tams, you know, because I'd be on special. So I'd grab a Tim Tam and then I'd grab like a hot coffee and then I'd like suck it through. Man, like imagine how many calories would be in a thing of Tim Tams, and I used to just smash one of those in my lunch
They
break.
say to burn off 2 Tim Tams, you need to go for an hour-long run.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, wow.
So if you ate an
2?
entire, yep,
Oh, wow.
2 Tim Tams equate to an hour-long run.
So I run a marathon and I'm like, now I can have my whole pack of Tim Tams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most people wouldn't even. I don't run for an hour. There's no way that I go run for an hour.
Well, street orienteering and stuff, but yeah. You're not going to eat a whole
I'm
pack
not
of Tim
gonna
Tams.
eat. Yeah.
So have you found because obviously you got your 3 lovely children. Have you found things have changed as a mother for you, or are you still?
Oh, yes and no. Like, I guess I still, like on the weekends, I want to go out and do things. I want to explore. I want to do things with them. Whereas before, you know, I probably would have like just been happy to stay at home and, you know, play video games or watch TV or whatever. But I'm more wanting to get out and be active with them. Take them to the park, you know, take them for a nature walk, like, you know.
Do you take them to parkrun?
Well, my eldest wants to come. He's
Yep.
tried once. He walked with the tail walker. He did 1 lap and he's like, nah, done.
Done.
Yeah.
So I haven't taken him back
5Ks
since.
is quite a long way for.
Oh, for a kid,
for
yeah.
too,
Well, for an adult who doesn't do it very often, like 5K is actually a fair way. Like, you know,
yeah.
I always realize how far 5K is when I walk it, and I go, this takes a really long time when you walk.
Walking it is like you'd be lucky to get under an hour if you walk it.
Oh yeah.
So,
100%, and it's like it's a long time, and you always go, "Wow, 5K is a really a long way."
Long way, yeah.
So obviously at school you went through a bit of a rough, like, you know, bullying and stuff like that, which does, as we were saying, gives you a thick skin, but also brings down your self-worth a lot, and like kind of devalues you a lot as a human. You know, obviously after school, it sounds like you went through like the whole going out and the like the date, well, not the dating, but like the, you know, hooking up and blah, blah, and that all plays a part as well. Did you find your self-worth was quite low before you had surgery? Like, where did you sit in that scale?
It kind of sounds a bit sad, but I kind of feel like I've never really had the self-worth, even with the weight loss. Like, I still kind of feel the same. Like, because it's all mental for me, this whole journey. Like, I still, like, I don't know, even like at all these catch-ups and stuff, I still kind of feel like I'm the person that's sitting back and isn't really, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm that one that everyone wants to jump to and meet. Like, I still kind of hang back a bit and like watch a little bit, but you know, after a couple of drinks, obviously, as you guys have seen me, I'll get into it.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, oh, that's
okay, that's very interesting.
I get that
Yeah.
too, because I think it's one of those things as because would you put yourself as an introvert, or would you
Oh,
like
definitely.
introverted extrovert?
I see myself as an introvert, but depending on who you ask, you might get a different response. Like, I still like to be out there and active and do things and be involved and stuff, but I get a bit of anxiety.
I think we all do.
We all
Yeah.
do though,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because like I was an extrovert prior to surgery, but I was an introvert on the inside. Now I'm more open to be my introverted. Like, I'm a little bit introverted now. Like, so like I don't find myself wanting to be the center as much as I used to. Like, I used to
Yeah.
make a big emphasis on being the center of attention, and like everyone has to like me. You know
Being
what I
the
mean?
funny guy.
Yeah. When now
Yeah.
I'm happy just to sit in the background and talk to one person and have those conversations, because I don't feel like I need to try and emphasize on certain parts of myself.
I also feel like I don't need to go out and do as much anymore, because like I just, maybe when I was bigger, it was kind of like, oh, if I wasn't there, I'm going to be missing out, or like people are going to be like, oh, why isn't she there? Like, why isn't she here? That sort of thing. But now I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm so comfortable within myself that I don't need to make an appearance. I don't need people to see me out and about. I don't need the validation through other people for me to feel comfortable. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Well, it's tough one with you, because I was just trying to think then, like, with the self-worth thing, because it's like, how does yourself, like, for me, my big thing has been trying to rely less on others for my self-worth, because that used to be a big thing for me. I used to always want others to validate me, which then gave me my self-worth. But obviously you'd never get that, like, because others are in their own little world and they're not giving you the validation because they're too busy trying to validate themselves or find validation through others, that you can't focus on others for that. If that makes sense. So like, you know, do you feel like you look at yourself and like actually appreciate who you are though?
Like, I do realise that, you know, I have come a long way in this journey and stuff, but like just what you just said then, like that's probably exactly how I am. I probably do look to others for validation of myself, if that makes sense. Like,
I think it's a human instinct. I honestly do feel it's a human instinct to look outwards. But I think it was a Buddha reference that I read once that really opened it up for me. And it was literally like, the most pure happiness is the happiness you find within yourself. And it was like, it's the wrong mind. I've probably read that a million times and just fobbed it off like, oh yeah, easier said than done. But I think as soon as you start, like for me, as soon as I started running and doing things where I started going, oh wow, I did that. I did good. I started actually going, oh shit, like I'm actually kind of like, I have some cool stuff that I do that I've always just been like, but someone's better at it than me. And I think there's definitely a lot of power that comes from actually validating the little accomplishments that you do and not comparing them to others. Like, you know, if I was go out and run 5K and be like, I did in this time, and then I didn't validate that was the best I've ever done, and started looking around and being like, oh, but that person's faster and that person's faster and that person's faster. It takes the value away from that self-worth for myself. And I think that's played a big part, I think, and I've said that before, just validating the littlest things, not even if it's a PB at parkrun or whatever. If it's literally like, you know, doing something or thinking of something and you're like, oh, that was really smart. You know, I did that, you know, and start validating yourself through little things. You know, even if it's, you know, one day you get up and you make all the lunches for your kids, validate yourself for that. You know, you got up, you made lunches, you know, that's...
Or even like when it comes to the part of like where you say you go to meetups and you don't feel like people want to come and meet you and that you're not like the life of the party. The fact that you're even at a meetup is a massive accomplishment, because there's so many people who probably feel similar to what you're feeling now or whatever, and then they just don't come because like they have that fear of anxiety. So for you to because we have people all the time reach out when we organise the Christmas party. They're like, I really want to come, but I'm super anxious, I'm nervous, and like as much as we can, we'll say, oh, you know, especially this year when I was on the Sunshine Coast, I was like, let us know when you're here, we'll pop over, we'll introduce you just to break that ice sort of thing. But there's so many people who just don't go and don't put themselves out there because they're so scared of it. So the fact that you're even putting yourself in that situation is something to be proud of.
That's a really big point to make too, because like amount of times we organise like, you know, the 5K Your Way run the other week, and we used to organise mountain climbs and stuff, and then we used to take it really to heart when people would bail. Like, because we'd get like 30 people say, yeah, we're coming. And we're like, oh, cool, this is really, like, everyone's coming. And then on the night before, now I realise it was everyone's anxiety was getting on top of them and they were just, like, making any excuse to not come. And then we used to take that really personally, like, oh, you know, why do we feel... But now we realise, because we've been in the weight loss world for long enough, that we kind of see, like, we always allow for that. Like, we're always like, oh, 30 people coming, we might get 3. You know, because it was just everyone's anxiety takes over. They start overthinking things but you know what it's like. You go to those events and yes, everyone's out anxious each other and they're all in their little bubbles. So sometimes people can feel like they're not being approached. But most of the time, if you find that little bit of just energy to put yourself out there to someone, 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to get rejected by that person. That person's going to be like, oh, yeah, sit down with us. Let's have a drink. Let's chill.
I think the first Christmas party I went to, I actually told you, I'm like, I really want to meet Megsy, but I'm so nervous to go up and say hello to her. And you're like, she's fine. She's the most approachable person ever. And she was. She was amazing.
Is. Yeah, no, she is. Like, there's always going to be that one who, because they're in their own head so much, they come across a little bit probably standoffish. And when you're kind of made that effort to be like, hey, and then they're so anxious, they like come across a little bit rude, you got to go, oh, that really didn't go how I planned it to. We're all awkward messes. Like I will walk over and I just own that I will say something stupid. Like I'll end up, because I'm so anxious and I'm not thinking, my brain goes faster than my mouth, that I'll say something and it'll break the ice in a weird way, but then I just own it now and I'm just like, yeah, that's me.
But I guess everybody, we've all come from the same place. We've all come, like it's not like you're, like I used to get anxious when I was bigger walking into a room, because I was 99% of the time going to be the biggest person in the room. So you kind of like, I got anxious in those situations because I was like, how am I meant to act and blah, 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 because I am the biggest person in the room. But now it's like I'm walking into a room full of people who also used to feel the same way. Yeah. So we're all going to still feel the same way, even though we don't have to, if that makes sense. Like, we've all literally been there. We've all got to be anxious about it. And that's why I love the weight loss community. Like,
we are all just all little awkward souls, and we're just trying to party together, and that's why awkward turtles. But no, that's why I love the meetups, because I go out to a nightclub and it's like I feel so awkward even these days. This is just it's not my scene. I don't enjoy it.
Was it Melbourne Cup Day last year when you got hit on? You're like, oh my god, I didn't realize I got hit on.
Literally, I just thought she was being really nice, and I was like, do you want me, like, do you want to borrow my phone or something? I was like, first time ever, but it's still to date. I don't like going out to clubs, like bowls clubs and stuff are different, but a nightclub wouldn't be caught dead in one now.
Because I'll go to the bowls.
I'll go to the bowls, the RSL. But yeah,
win me a meat tray.
Oh, I never win those. So have you had to deal much with body dysmorphia or anything? Like, do you like still do you look in the mirror and see the progress you've made?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to go the other way then, but I look in the mirror and I still see big me.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I still kind of got the same body shape. So I look in the mirror and like I still see the bigger me.
Okay.
So did you carry your weight quite well then when you were bigger?
I was always told that because like when I was bigger, everyone's like, you know, you're tall, you hold your weight well, it's all evenly proportioned.
Distributed.
Yeah, you don't look big. But then once, you know, the weight starts coming off, everyone's like, oh, wow, you've lost weight, you look great. And I'm like, I told you back when I was 130 kilos that, you know, I am big.
Yeah. It was the same with my friends. Like, my friends are like, there's no way that you were 127 kilos. Where did you carry it all? And I was like, here and here and like all over my body. And people were like, well, we never realized. And I suppose as well, if you're talking to your close friends and that sort of thing, it happens gradually. It's not like you just wake up one day and you weigh, 60 kilos more than what you did 2 years ago. But like, I guess they don't realize how much it's being put on because you gain it slowly. But all of my friends were the same. They're like, how are you 127 kilos? Like that, where? So
exactly. Yeah. It's not until you do those side-by-side photos that I see it. So I need to do a comparison photo if I'm to see how far I've come. Then I'm like, mind
so
blown.
is it more you look in the mirror and you don't see, like, because you'd see obviously you've shrunk in size, but do you find yourself criticizing yourself more? Is that kind of like...
Oh, definitely. I think that comes with like loose skin and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So do you have loose skin on your belly and stuff as well?
So belly and like little side hips here. Everyone always laughs at me about that. There's nothing there. I'm like, well, to me, I see it. It's there. It was my worst feature when I was bigger, and I still see it now.
Yeah, well, we are our biggest critics.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I literally, that's a conversation I had with you once. I literally lost all this weight, and then someone criticized me on my scar on my nose or the trisms on my eyes. And that was like I kind of went, I'm just never going to be perfect in the eyes of everyone. If someone's going to be a butthead to you and, pay you out for something, they're going to find something, Yeah. What is it? You're going to be the juiciest, ripest peach, but there's always going to be someone that doesn't like peaches. I love that because it's like, it's so true. It's like, you're not going to, you have to just sooner or later just go, I feel, my thing now is I want to feel healthy. I'm not going to be like, I'm never going to be on the runways being a Vogue model, you know what I mean? A foot model, hand model, whatever. Like, reality is I'm just happy to be healthy, happy, and like look at myself and not be like, because I found the same thing. I used to look in the mirror and my loose skin would do my head in, and I've always had love handles and my pants never sit right, and I just end up just going, that's me. I think it's a really important. It's easier said than done, and like I was just thinking that before. I'm not going to sit here and say your self-worth will come in overnight. And I think a lot of people may see someone 2 years down the track and be like, oh my God, not only am I going to lose weight, but that person looks so confident and happy in themselves. That's not an overnight thing. Like for me to get where I am now, it's been a lot of ups and downs and self-analyzing and a lot of processing. And I think it's just helped that I am an overthinker. So like, I think you've got to have a lot of that self-reflection. You can't be afraid to be alone and have those thoughts and like, actually take the time to kind of go, where am I heading? Because, it's not going to happen overnight.
But so when you look in the mirror, though, not every time you don't see the 130 kilo. Like, do you recognize in yourself, like if you were to go and walk into the bathroom now and look at what you're wearing now, would you like acknowledge the fact that you've done well, or do you still see?
I'd probably say 60 to 70% of the time I still see big me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it.
Weird. That's like real body dysmorphia. That's that's
How does that make psychologists? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, literally. Tell me about your childhood. No.
So is that playing on your mental health as well, though? Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know it's weird. Like I can still, walk in front of a crowded food court and still feel like I'm that fat person walking past a crowded room and everyone's standing there judging me, even though I've lost 55, 56 kilos or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's a weird feeling, and I don't know. And it's been 2 years. So I'm like, I don't know when my brain is going to catch up to what I've actually done.
So when you walk between two cars in a car park, you still think that you can't?
Yeah, I still
fit?
need to like turn sideways.
So-
I still do it. I turn sideways.
People
to go
are like,
through.
"What is she doing?"
So is that still driving you to want to lose more weight then? Like, are you happy with where you're at, or is it like
Well-
you're realizing now it's the mental side of things you got to work on?
It's definitely the mental side of things. I still do hop on the scales probably more than what I should and obsess over them more than what I should.
Yeah.
I've gotten to my lightest weight of 74, and then I'm happy there. I'm happy at 74. Like, part of me thinks, oh, let's see if I can get to 70, but I know that my body's happy at 74.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to push that.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, I think, but it's funny because once you set that limit, you then will use that as like a guide, and we were talking about that last week, where it's like, you know, I knew at my lowest at like 79 or whatever, I was probably I was too skinny, like I had got too light, but then I put on the extra 4 and probably got to like where I was healthy, but then I was like, oh, but no, I need to be 79. I'm like, no, I don't need to be 79. I'm living a more maintainable, healthy, fueled life now. But for some reason, that 79 set in my brain.
Well, I was the same too. I've spoken about this before. Like, I remember when I was losing the weight, I kind of got down to like 70, 71, and I was like, oh my God, Shan, I don't want to go below 70. Like, I shouldn't be in the 60s. But then I sort of sat at 68, 69, or 67, 68 for quite a while. And I was like, oh, okay, this is just where I want to be. And now that I'm back up over, like, I'm sitting at about 71, 72 kilos now, and I'm like, I need to get back into the 60s. Like, but it all just kind of like, it's all relative, I guess. And as you said, like, when I was down in the high 60s, I was running every day. I was probably averaging close to like 70 Ks a week, if like around that, like running, and I was eating like a vegan diet, and like I was still drinking, but like it wasn't a maintainable lifestyle. And now that we've sort of like reined it back a little bit, and I am sort of enjoying myself a little bit more. Like, yes, I need to start running again. I see this every week. I need to start picking up my running again. I could probably make a few healthier choices to drop, 1 kilo or so. But I don't think it's anything to be worried about.
Well, I think you want to do it more for the fitness.
Yeah.
You're not doing it to lose weight. You
No.
know, you're not going, I'm going to go out running because I want to lose weight. You're going, oh, I just need to get back into running because I like the way I felt. I'm the same. Like,
Yeah.
Probably now I'm pretty good with where I'm running and riding,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not as much as I was at one point, because that was like, 30 Ks every morning, like religiously. And I think a little bit was to do with the addiction to the weight loss. I was very like, I just wanted to keep losing weight because I was addicted to that accomplishment of like the scales moving down, not realizing that like.
But now when I say
Simulated.
I need to run more, it's not because I want to lose weight. It's because I can see I've gained 2 minutes on my running time now. So I used to be a sub 30 runner, but now I can't get below 32 minutes for a 5K. And that's what's doing my head in. Like, I can see that my fitness has decreased rather than my weight increasing, if that makes sense.
it
And
does.
that's what's triggering me. Like, I know that I can run faster. I know that it's in me. It's just that I'm not. So I've got to do something to get, like, so I'm chasing other different numbers instead of numbers on the scale.
Yeah, you've taken on the parkrun life too, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've become you've
Yeah,
become an
obsessed.
addict like us.
Yes.
I see yours. Do you find you've incorporated that into your life for lifestyle purposes or for weight loss? Like,
I reckon definitely lifestyle, because I love chasing those PBs.
Yeah.
Love it.
accomplishment highs?
Yes, definitely.
It's funny
Love
because
chasing them.
Kiya was literally saying, like, how do I get to parkrun tomorrow? Which one's my
Yeah.
closest one? I just want to be there. I just want to, like, you can't run, but you're like, I just want to be there.
Just be amongst it.
Involved, yes.
Yeah, it is. It's the community aspect as well as the lifestyle. And that's what I found now. Like, I do all these things not for weight loss, maybe a little bit for fitness, but mainly just for the social side of things.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
something about starting a Saturday morning, running around with some crazy other people and drinking coffee. Can't beat
Can't
it.
beat
All for
it.
the coffee.
So have you found it, you've been pretty smooth sailing after weight loss surgery? Have you had any issues?
So I'm only 2 years post-op, as I said earlier, but yeah, I've had no issues in the early days, no issues coming up to a year. It was only on the night of my second sleeveversary that I had a gallstone attack.
Oh, gallstone attack.
Yes.
Oh, so you still got your gallbladder?
Yeah, they're still in.
Only
because-
just.
Because I had a cry. So they came to me and they're like, we're going to have to take it out now. Your gallbladder's inflamed. You've got stones. It needs to come out now. And I'm like, but I have another surgery next week. I've had this surgery planned since August last year. I can't get my gallstones out now. And he's telling me, look, it's probably medically more necessary for your gallbladder to come out before you get some skin removed. So I let it process. I actually called my skin removal surgeon and said, my gallstones have to come out. Can we postpone the arms? All that was sorted. half an hour later, he comes back and he's like, righto, we won't take your gallbladder out yet. That can wait till your arms.
So you're going to have to go back under the knife now to get your gallbladder out?
Yes. So that's booked in for April 27, which is 4 days before my birthday.
Wow.
And I'd kind of planned.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, at least it's
dinner
only...
or something.
Maybe you can take it home with you as like a little pre-birthday present.
I kept mine. I didn't keep mine, but I took a photo of mine.
Yeah.
And I wasn't meant
Or your
to.
gallstones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They took a photo of like...
They look like honeycomb.
Oh, do they?
That's what I thought.
Well, yeah, because they're like gross, but they like squished it out of the gallbladder,
Yeah.
and there was like massive little rocks with like bile
Did
attached
you have
to
like
it.
lots of little ones or big ones?
I had both.
Yeah.
So I had quite a few big ones that I wouldn't have been able to pass, and then like a little cluster of like really small ones. I'll show you the photo later.
Yeah, you should.
It's
I would
gross.
love to
Love to
know
see
what
that.
percentage of bariatric patients have gallbladder issues.
Yeah, let's make it a poll. Make an Instagram
Like, I feel
story
like,
poll.
yeah, I don't like. We talked about this before. I don't know if they ever told me it would be an issue, but it's like definitely something that a lot of people.
Well,
have.
they say that like back in the day, some surgeons would just remove your gallbladder
While
at
they're
the
in there.
same time as doing your sleeve surgery, which they've stopped doing that now because it's kind of like, why remove an organ if it's perfectly fine? Like, keep
Yeah,
it
you don't
in
need
there.
it.
Like,
You don't need
Like
it.
I thought 2 years post up, I'm fine. It's not going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to happen.
Well, I cancelled my
But it
private
did.
health like a year out because I was like, oh, I haven't had any complications with my sleeve, so I should be fine. But I didn't know about the gallbladder thing. Otherwise, I probably would have kept it going for a little bit longer
Well,
just to make sure.
joke's on me. I cancelled mine, and then 3 months later, I had my
3 months.
Was that a soft subject?
Yeah.
You're like,
It cost you like $7
lucky
grand for you to get your
you.
gallbladder taken out.
God.
But it's funny because mine was around the 2-year mark too.
Mm.
Because I had mine in February last year taken
just
out.
before
So
Byron,
yeah,
yeah.
it was just before the Byron meetup, and mine was around the 2-year mark too. But I was struggling with mine for a full year.
Yeah, you've
I
been
didn't-
wet sealing it for like a year.
Yeah,
And I
I-
call wet sealing because like Alita used to have these gallbladder attacks and she would just flop around the floor like sweaty mess. And I used to like she looked like a seal because she'd just like slide out onto the tiles from the toilet because she'd be like having all these like vomit things and
Oh,
like
wow.
and then she'd just slide around on the
Yeah,
floor.
I used to get
and-
so hot and sweaty that I was just, and Shannon had like tiles, like really shiny tiles. So I looked like one of those cartoon dogs, you know, when they're kind of like trying to stand up, but they can't stand up. And
Just-
I just like keep on sliding. So I got to the point there I'd be like, Shannon, pick me up and take me to bed. But I didn't realize for a whole year, I just thought it was reflux. And I didn't want to be the girl who went to emergency because of reflux.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably should have gone to
Yes.
emergency because they would have taken it out for me and I wouldn't have had to have paid privately for it. But did you know what was happening?
I only knew because I think someone else recently in the community must have had it happen. And like, you know, I'm a bit of a Dr. Google fiend, so I
Yeah.
hopped on and put in my symptoms and it was all lining up with gallbladder attack. I'm like, okay, when do I have to go to hospital? And they're like, you know, go 2-3 hours if it's still going. I think I lasted an hour and I'm like, no, I'm taking myself to hospital.
It's horrendous, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like the burning
Yeah.
and the, ugh.
I just felt like my whole insides were like eating themselves. It's like,
I love that you got the verdict of gallbladder out of Google because every time, like, I could literally cut my hand with it and it's cancer or death. Like, I'm like, but I cut, like, it's a paper cut. And they're like, no, cancer or death, cancer or death. So I'm very surprised you actually got to the verdict of gallbladder. That's quite impressive.
well, I'd been to the gym, I'd had my dinner, went to bed, and like woke up in the middle of the night with this pain in my stomach. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then when I finally came to and realised what was happening, I'm like, it's my gallbladder. No.
I've had a few issues like that, and I'm like, because usually it's like when I've had alcohol, that's a big one for me. Like if my first drink, I'll have like a pain, like a hot pain in my thing, and I'm like, is that a gallbladder attack? Is that
be.
similar?
Could be. Maybe.
Well, we're not doctors, so maybe you should
Doctor,
go. Maybe you should go get that
Google.
checked out.
Google. No, it's cancer.
Cancer. Don't joke about cancer.
Yeah, no,
That's bad.
Everyone knows it like Google. Yeah, it's not death. It's death. All right, I'm
We're all
dying.
dying.
But it's funny
Yeah.
because the first time that I had a really bad one, because I used to get them like mildly after eating random foods. Like I remember one time I had some red onion in a salad, and that was the first mouthful that I took because I'm a sicko and I like raw onion. And I bit into like this piece of onion and it just triggered it, and I was just like in pain. So I drove myself to the pharmacy and got some Gaviscon because I thought it was reflux. And I had like 2 Gaviscon tablets and it kind of like put it at ease. And that was my first sign. And that was like probably back in like, gosh, January 2019, like forever ago.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got progressively worse from that. And then I just remember the first time that it was so bad, I ended up calling the night nurse at like 1 o'clock in the morning because I was like, I can't lay down because I'm in pain. I can't sit up because I can't breathe properly because I'm in pain. I'm like hot and sweaty. I want to vomit or I want to poop. I don't really know what's happening. And she was like, oh yeah, you should probably go to the hospital. Like the night nurse was on the phone to me and I was like, nah, it's just reflux. And she's like, I'd probably go to the hospital. And I was like, I'll just ride it out. And then I just went to bed and then woke up the next morning and it felt like I had a stitch for like 3 days.
Yeah, wow.
And then I just ignored it and it finally went away. And then a year later, it kept on happening. Then I finally got it taken out. So
you should have gone to hospital later.
well, I
Says
know
the
that.
other gallbladder attack over
Exactly,
here. You're
it
like,
went straight away.
I've probably had the symptoms for like 6 months. You know.
So do you know what triggers it now? Like, do you know you're obviously
Well, I
avoiding
haven't
things?
had another attack since, so I've been pretty strict with the low-fat diet, which has seen me lose the 5 kilos that I gained. I've stopped all alcohol because I'm like paranoid that I'm going to get another attack.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just stuck to that and I haven't had another attack. So I feel like I'm a ticking time bomb until it's removed. I'm going to stick to my low-fat diet. I'm going to stick to my no to low alcohol. I might have a glass of wine here or there.
Yeah, that's it.
But, I'm not going to be like what I normally am like with alcohol.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you've been quite open about your alcohol.
Definitely.
Would you found it's gone up since before surgery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big time. I think people talk about the dependency or the thing.
Transfer addiction.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
People talk about that and like when I read up about that, I'm like, I think that's me with alcohol.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us do. Like we talked about, I think mine definitely lingered on the edge of it. Who was it that we had on the other week?
Tara.
She had, I think it's probably more than we know. I think a lot of people out there develop that connection to alcohol after bariatric surgery. Like, what was it? It was not alcoholism. Like
Alcoholism.
what percentage?
20%
20% of bariatric patients develop.
alcoholism. And that's like way more than what's in the normal population.
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, why did you feel like you developed was it how it made you feel, or was it because you couldn't have the food?
I think mainly, number one, I think it just became routine. And number two, I did like how it made me feel, at the end of the day, dealing with kids, just going to have a glass of wine and relax. And then that glass of wine turns into a bottle. And some nights it might turn into 2 bottles.
Yeah, you can never stop at 1 or 2, eh? Like, the
You
amount of times I'm like, I'll just have 1 or 2,
Yeah.
but the 1 or 2 make 3 and 4 sound like a great idea.
So
Jab is fun. You can't stop. So
And it
just
goes
keep
down
going
so
till it's too
easily.
late.
So the statistic is 20% of people who have had weight loss surgery develop an alcohol disorder,
Use disorder.
alcohol use disorder.
Yeah.
And that's 3 times the rate of the general population.
Wow. I think a big part of it plays a big part is because you can't consume food. So it's like because you can have more of it because it's a liquid. I think that's probably why it plays into a little bit. Because, back in the day, it used to be like, I've had a tough day. I'll have two Jim Beams and a plate of nitrous the size of Europe. Where now these days it's like, I'll have a big glass of whatever it is, the size of Europe, and this tiny little
Well, who was
bowl
it?
of
We were
nitro,
talking
you know what it
to
is?
Maddie the other day, and she said when she first started going out, she'd be about to sit down and have dinner, but then her friends would be like, "Oh, let's go to the pub for a drink." So she'd literally put her dinner away without eating it, and then go out and to drink instead because she
rather
knew
than eating.
you can't eat and drink at the same time. So she would just put alcohol before eating, and I think that's what a lot of us, without meaning to. I do it sometimes, like...
Yeah, at the Christmas party, I found myself, because, we're drinking, and then the food came out, and I'm like, well, no, I'm having too much fun drinking. I think I probably only had, 1 or 2 nibbles that night.
Yeah.
I don't think I ate.
No, food never gets... Like, every year with the Christmas party, we kind of bring the amount of food down to save people money there because it never gets eaten.
You know what we should do? Have a pre-dinner party so that everybody actually eats first and then we start serving alcohol.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it comes around because I'll have 1 or 2 drinks beforehand and then that fills your stomach. So you don't actually feel like eating because you're not physically hungry. But it's easier to drink than what it is to eat on a full stomach, if that makes sense. So, which is why they tell you not to drink after surgery because it's just drinking your calories.
Yeah.
And it's the quickest way to bypass your restriction.
Well, it's the same as if you had milkshakes for breakfast and stuff like that. We talked about that before. It's like you've got to try and steer clear of liquids. Like, I'm not going to say steer clear of drinking because I think it's so ingrained into society that, we kind of rely on it to a degree.
Yeah.
Not saying it's a good thing, but I think society, it's just so ingrained. It's like, I tried to quit and just stop. But then I went, no, you know what? As soon as I tell myself I can't have something, it makes me want it more.
Yeah.
So I now, try and save it on weekends or cut it right back. And that way I've found it's a lot better, it's a definitely something I have to stay on top of. Do you like how like were you drinking every night or every night?
I think my gallstone attack was probably the kick up the bum I needed.
Yeah.
okay.
And like I've been fine since stopping. Like I stopped cold turkey and I haven't been having withdrawals. I've been fine without the alcohol, and it's been like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Well, over 2 weeks. I'm fine. Like it's not like I was alcoholic. Like I'm not, like
You don't go to meetings, so
yeah,
you never
exactly. You don't go to meetings. I'm not
Yeah.
like at the cupboard like looking at the bottle of gin going, oh, I wish I could have
wake
it.
up in the morning and go,
You're hugging it.
Good morning, gin. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so like, I'm fine. It's just, it was the routine. It was the habit.
Oh, yeah. And the
Taste.
feeling.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a revolution.
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 It's a revolution. Realization.
Yeah, whatever. Epiphany, whatever you want to say. I don't know that word. But 2 nights ago, I had some leftover wine in the fridge, which is a first for me. If
What's leftover
yeah,
wine?
I don't know. That's a first. So anyway, there was a leftover bottle of wine in the fridge, and I had a glass of it whilst I was cooking dinner, and I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't taste as good as what I actually remember it to be. So I had a glass of soda water in between, and then I had another glass of wine afterwards, and I was like, yeah, no, it's really not doing it for me. So that made me realize that I was drinking out of habit.
And what did you do?
I tipped the bottle out because I was like, if it's
She
still,
told me, and I was kind of like, you did what?
I was like, that's just me tipping $10 down the drain.
Yeah.
But
I was proud, but also like, why did you tip it out?
because
But
I
guess
didn't
was
like the
as-
taste of it, and it wasn't making me feel good. I was getting more sleepy, and I was like, I could sit here and finish drinking this bottle and finish drinking my glass, and then pour myself the last little, cup out of the bottle. But I was like, you know what? I'm not enjoying it, so tip it down the sink.
Yeah.
Get rid of the temptation.
Yeah.
And I was like, I high-fived myself, and I ran over to Shannon on the couch. I was like, Shan, guess what I just
Yeah.
did?
Well, it's kind of like the napkin thing that I was talking about the other
Yeah.
week with like food, when you go out for dinner and stuff, and if the food's in front of you, you just pick at it. Now I just make an effort to put like a napkin on it or something, so it's like, or my fork or whatever it is that makes them take it away. Because otherwise, you'll just sit there and nibble. So I guess
I've been
you
doing
having
that
it
for
there,
ages.
you'd just be like, I didn't like the taste of it. You go away. I don't like the taste of it. But you keep doing it.
Because
It's like,
everybody
it's gonna
knows
trigger.
that the more wine you drink, the better the wine tastes.
Yeah, you're like, if I just
So
drink
like,
through
if
the
I just keep on
taste-
drinking it, it'll end up tasting good, and then the bottle will be gone. But I was like, don't do that. You don't want to drink it. Just tip it down the sink. But I've been doing that with the napkin for ages with the whole food. Because if there's
Good
chips
idea.
left on your plate, you'll just be mindlessly chatting and picking away at it. So I put stuff over the top of it. Or cover it in tomato sauce, because I don't really like heaps of tomato sauce. So I just go
That's an idea.
with
Yeah.
tomato sauce.
What a waste of tomato sauce.
Just grab the pepper or something.
Yeah, that's probably better than tomato
So
sauce.
we'll talk about your bubbleogram.
Brachioplasty?
Brachioplasty.
Your
Again, she's not sure if she got it right, but
your arm
I feel
removal?
like you're a lot closer than my brother. So, how did that all go? All pretty smoothly?
Yeah, it went really well. Like I woke up and was in like minimal pain. Like I was, how you come out of surgery and you expect your arms to, being on fire and throbbing
Yeah.
and stuff. But I woke up and it was fine. Like obviously I was on the good drugs.
So hang on, well, I'm just going to stop you there for 1 second. For those who are not watching, can't see you trying to flap your arms around, explain to us what this surgery was that you had.
Okay, so a brachioplasty is the surgery that removes the excess skin from your upper arm.
The tuck shop
Your
lady.
tuck shop lady
bingo
arms.
wings, chicken
Yeah.
wings, whatever you want to call them. But I got the extended version, so it goes down my side and beside my breast. So the pro stops about there.
So they got rid of that piece of
that
fat that
overhangs
hangs
the
over your
bra.
bra.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Wow. So did they pull it around? Like, does it tighten your back and stuff as well?
Yeah, a little bit. So like
Or do they
brings
pull
in.
it from your boobs if your boobs shrunk down too?
Yeah. Or your boobs end up in your I'm like, they like pull it around your boobs and up under your armpits. You're like, oh, yeah, that didn't work out how I thought it was going to work.
You guys are going to have some awesome sound effects because I'm like,
Yeah. Did they take a fair bit of skin out?
Yeah, well, yeah. Like I've got before and after photos.
Yeah, that
on
was
my
crazy.
yeah,
Instagram
we'll put
and
the.
stuff.
Can we put this
Yeah,
up
yeah.
so people can see?
You
Yeah.
can use them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I should have brought my tape measure because I measured my arms when I was at home before coming up. So it'd be good to measure them to see how much centimeters.
Like
have
how
actually
many-
been
yeah.
But
removed.
you just by doing that, you'd be able to tell
yeah,
what the
definitely.
difference is.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you're wearing compression gear as
Yeah.
well, but yeah, wow.
Like she said that she normally weighs the excess skin after she removes it. So when I see her next week, I'll be like keen to know, how much did that excess skin actually weigh?
Yeah, I'd be very curious, and we can
Yeah.
do a post about it too for those who
Was
are
your
wondering.
loose skin playing a big part of like your mental health?
So ever since I was 10, I've had issues with my arms. I was the kid that would wear a jumper in summer.
Oh, wow.
So this is like 25 years.
So you've been
in the
self-conscious
making.
of your arms for like...
When
Yeah.
was the last time that your arms saw the light of day?
So I do say in a casual setting, my arms have never seen the light of day, but if I'm to go swimming, my arms are out. But that's not to say that I'm not, freaking out that people are looking at them and stuff.
Yeah.
But so for you to go out for dinner or for you to go
always have
somewhere, you'd
sleeves.
always put a
have
sleeve
sleeves.
on.
Yeah.
Or
Cardi.
a bolero or something like
Yeah,
that.
or, dress
what?
like this that covers it.
A bolero.
A bolero.
Sounds fancy.
It's
It's like a jumper.
It's like a batwing cover.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
I
their
was
sole
known
purpose.
as the Cardi Queen.
The
Yeah.
Cardi Queen.
Cardi Queen.
Wow.
Not Bacardi Queen.
The Cardi, yeah.
Don't get them confused.
That's the after hours name.
Exactly.
Wow. So how do you feel a massive weight off your shoulders, off your arms?
Yes, we did that.
Do you feel a massive weight off, like lifted now that you've
Oh,
obviously
definitely.
you're still recovering?
Yeah.
So
Well, you
haven't
wouldn't
been
notice a
able to-
difference. Like if you lifted your arms now, would you notice that they
I
feel
don't
lighter?
have that jiggly because, with doing park run, with the excess skin,
They
you can
clap for
feel
you.
You're
You're
not
it.
gonna have anybody
I'm
clap
not
for you
gonna
anymore.
have that anymore.
Even mine does that.
Mine do that.
I remember, it's fun. I've never had, I know I have a little bit of lip skin on my arms, but I never really acknowledged it as much as when I was riding my motorbike that time. Remember that? I got a rider motorbike, and the tank was really shiny, and I'm riding along, thinking I look super cool. Look at me on my motorbike. Next minute I look down and I just see my arms flapping in the wind. Oh no! And I was like, I just knocked me down a few pegs.
Not as cool as what I thought I was.
And then I was like, wow, I really do have, I guess when I go skydiving, I used to see my face and stuff jiggle, but
I've got a little bit there. We're all going to have some form of
definitely.
loose skin in places, but for me, it's not affecting me mentally. For you,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my
It-
whole
it
life.
would,
Even when I was
yeah.
at my biggest, I hated my arms.
yeah. And that was
And
something that
I
you said
always
you
hated my
always
arms.
hated your arms. So I'm very excited to see what how you
to.
feel.
is that it for plastics? Is that you just do arms are your big focus?
Well, that's what my arm surgeon asked me. She's like, "Do you want anything?"
arm
else done?"
surgeon?
Or I'm not going
Your
to.
plastic surgeon?
Yeah, plastic surgeon.
You have
I
individuals.
just have it say arm surgeon. she asked me, she's like, "Is there anything else you'd like done?" And at the point, I'm like, if I can just get my arms done, I'd be happy. Tummy, yeah, maybe, but it's not priority. It'd be nice. It'd be an added bonus to get my tummy done. But
Yeah.
I'd be, because she was only a general surgeon, no, downfalls.
masters or-
Yeah, but I've seen her work and it was amazing. So I was happy with her work. But if I'm to get my tummy done, I'm going to have to go to a plastic surgeon. That's just me. Because it's tummy, it just seems more
Yeah.
involved and full on, and that's of course more
I think
money.
the healing's harder too. I
Yeah.
think, what was the one where they have the scar in the groin?
The
What was that?
Mons.
Is that the Mons? That looks painful.
The Mons lift.
Because I sweat, you sweat so much in there, that would be a really hard one.
That would be a hard one.
Yeah, that recovery on that
Gross.
would be tough. What was been harder, the recovery for your sleeve or the recovery for your arms?
Oh, now you got me thinking. That's 2 years ago. I suppose they're both different. It's with my arms, I'm useless. I can't do things for myself. So I've got my sister here. First week, she's pulling my pants up for me. She's still brushing.
Well, she doesn't do that normally?
No.
Oh, okay.
She had to wash her hair for her today, so she
Yeah.
could.
Oh,
It's been really
Bonding.
vulnerable. She's had to see me nude, and that's something I wouldn't naturally have my sister do. I've
Yeah.
had to let go of a lot of things, having her look after me.
It's almost demoralizing a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm thinking.
No, it'd be liberating. I want to get break both my legs so my little brother has to wipe my ass for me. That'd be hilarious.
that was actually her biggest fear, having to
you're
do that.
you're
but
I'll wash your hair, but
you
not
can
your
do
butt.
that yourself.
I can do that myself. From the first second, I could do it myself.
You're like, what, the Airbnb that I'm staying at, it needs a bidet. It has to have a bidet. So the recovery, it's only been a week, hasn't it?
I think 8 days.
8 days. So it's been the recovery hasn't been too
it
bad.
hasn't been too bad.
And I guess as well with your arms, like you said, you're useless, but it's not like you have to teach yourself to eat again. With the
Yeah,
sleeve,
exactly.
it was a massive learning curve because you had to teach yourself. But I guess as long as the pain's not too bad, you said today you haven't had to take too many pain medics and that sort
been
of
off
thing.
the pain meds and they're feeling all right. It's a stinging pain with the arms.
Do you get the phantom? Do you feel itchy even though your skin's not there? The
I
phantom
do have
things?
itchy, but it feels numb more than anything.
Okay.
It's like a weird numbness.
Wow. Do you know how many stitches they put in?
No,
A lot?
probably.
But they're all internal though, aren't they?
I think so.
Oh, are they?
Would have to
Yeah.
be.
They don't do external ones and then remove them later on?
I think it's very unlikely to have external stitches these days.
Because they're still all taped up. The tape doesn't come off till I see my surgeon next week.
And you
so
don't
I'm
have any drains or anything, do you?
No drains.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the thing that freaks me out the most about skin removal is the drains.
Yes.
Blech.
The recovery, I think that's the part that scares me, getting infections and stuff. Because I've seen
Yes.
some where they got infections. I'm like, oh.
How long do you need to have your compressions on for?
So I was told 12 weeks. But
Whoa.
I'm probably going to be a bit OCD and wear them for a bit longer. Same as the taping. I'll probably
What
tape
is
longer.
what is the reason for the compression? Is that just to stop any tearing or
Swelling and stuff too.
Swelling, and I think it helps with. I think the taping more helps with the scarring.
Okay.
So if you don't tape for as long, the scarring might be thicker or wider or whatever. Like I said, the longer you tape, the better your scar is going to look.
So excited to see them.
'Cause that-
really.
Me too.
That has been a big goal for you getting that
Yes.
done, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Do you have any other goals moving forward that you are hoping, like even if it's not body wise, like do you have any goals outside of?
Well, definitely, I would love to run faster or sub 35 at park run.
Oh, we're getting there.
I would love to.
You're
sub
not there.
35.
You're very close though.
Oh, what am I? 37 minutes and 30 seconds at Ballina.
You'll get that off.
So like
Yeah,
two
well, I
and a
think
half
we need to
minutes
come
off.
down and maybe pace you or something.
Yes,
That'd be
yeah.
cool. Yeah, because I think you'd be able to do it. It's just
Well, now that I
pushing
don't
through that
have
little.
the arms to hang me back.
Your weight to power ratio just went up as well.
You'll just lose your 2 minutes like that.
Exactly.
Either that or it's like they were helping you and they're like
Pushing you
know,
along.
like, imagine that. You're like, no, I'm slower now. How did that even happen?
But
I don't understand.
it'll be 12 weeks before you'll be able to get back into properly
think
running.
so,
Hey? Yeah.
Well, she said 6 weeks for the gym, but even then, I think that's kind of pushing it. Don't go back to work till like 5 or 6 weeks post-op.
You're like straight back at the gym doing heavy
Oh,
lifting.
could you
Like,
imagine?
I think they give you pretty cautious estimates though, don't they? Like, because
Yeah.
obviously they give you an estimate knowing that you may want to push early. So they probably allow a little bit in there as well.
so park run sub 35. Any other big goals coming up for you?
I'd love to get tummy done eventually. That would be really great. And that little side bit that I was talking about, love handles.
Those little
whatever you wanna
bobbies.
call it.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be one, like, literally, I would contemplate, because I've obviously, my loose skin is mainly my lower back. And it just always stops my pants from staying up. Like, I have the worst plumber's crack. Like, my butt crack is always out. Like, I did that new job last week, and the guy was like, butt crack's out already. I'm like, yeah, you got to get used to that. It's just always out. I don't know. Either my back's really short or my butt crack's really long. It's not because my pants are low.
Exactly.
But it's like my love handles just hold it down just so there's this much butt crack hanging
Yeah.
out. So,
Well, if it makes you feel better, I love you no matter what.
oh, butt crack and all.
Butt crack and all.
Yeah. Imperfections, all that fun stuff.
So, I guess before we wrap it up, top tip for somebody, because you've been, you've 2 years out, you've had you've had plastics done, you've smashed a few of your goals. Top tip for somebody thinking about having bariatric surgery.
Just do it. I wish I'd done it sooner. Like, if you're on the fence, like, just jump that fence and come join us. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
come join us. It always
Us on the
sounds
other
really
side.
creepy.
It sounds like a cult.
Like, it always sounds like a
One
cult.
of
I do that all the
us.
time. Like, oh, yeah, one of us. And it's like, one of us. It comes in my head. I'm like, it sounds so like we're a cult. We kind of are to a degree, we all have something in common. Yeah, but you're 100% right.
Yeah,
like,
no regrets at all on this journey. Like, I've probably been pretty lucky on my journey with no issues or anything. But
even the people that have complications, they still have that, usually find they're glad they did it for other reasons.
Yeah.
As much as there are a few complications and stuff like that, they still go, you would still go through with it. Because I think if you're at that point in life where you're really on the fence and contemplating about and putting that thought into bariatric surgery, you know that you need to make that change. It's just there's certain things that would scare you and certain unknowns. You're like, oh, do I want to jump that fence? And like you said, if you're at that point where it's just like the only thing holding you back is the fear of the unknown,
yeah, exactly.
Take the leap of faith.
that's it. You always want to regret the things you did and not the things you didn't do, because there's a quality of life maybe waiting right behind that next door. So on that note, happy Easter, because it is
Yeah,
Easter
happy
weekend.
Easter, guys.
Happy Easter, everyone. This will probably come out a few weeks after Easter. But guys, hope you had a fantastic Easter. Thank you, Kiya, for sitting down with us and sharing your journey in an open way. 'Cause
And I
it's really
can't wait to
appreciated.
see the end result in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
We'll post an update.
12 weeks.
12 weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
But
just more than a few weeks.
we'll post an update on our socials if you'll let us, just so people can check it out and see if they're thinking about doing the same thing. And,
Happy to chat to anyone that has questions as well.
And if they want to reach out to you, where would they find you?
So, Becoming Me with VSG.
On Instagram. So guys, if you do want to reach out and talk to Kiya, do that. Talk about skins, about any other things that you found in similar, that's great English. On that note, guys, that is another episode of Bari Banter. Why, yes, that is another episode of Bari Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.